All right, we're gonna build this thing that landed on my Instagram page and inspired some very cool upgraded builds. Foreshadowing. I think you can call it a fixed center kinetic sculpture, or I just call it the isolated ball thing. But either way, I'll show you how to build it and how it works. So the first thing you must decide is how many links you want. They'll each be composed of these parts more or less, and you can go up to 7 links before it starts bashing into itself. But for the minifig display type builds that I did, I just used 4 links. Now, these A-shaped parts are obviously most important. You could try to build a substitute, but honestly, I'd say Bricklink or the LEGO website/store itself for bricks and pieces is your best bet here. Okay, so for the base links, we go A-shaped piece, double clip pole grabber, pole haver, and then fill the ends with 1x1s and make an A-piece sandwich here. Every link will be just like that one, except for one link, you'll just have one end that you keep flat with a plate, and then you'll have another link on the other end where you'll just have one little clip for holding whatever you're gonna stick in there. So the parts list is really just the parts per link times the number of links you want, plus a flat plate. That's pretty much the whole body. For the base, I just stuck the flat end in some brackets, then added a plate for stability, a plate for evenness there, and then a whatever this piece is to hold it all up. You can really do whatever works here to stick it down to the base. And then for our other end, the clip connection is important for making the illusion work. So for the best basic isolated ball model, just a bar piece with a Technic ball on the end is perfect. Now, you must position the ball as centered as possible because the way that the isolation works is by having the center of the ball in the center of the focal point that every hinge connection lines up with. This is how the ball seemingly never moves because whichever hinge you rotate, the ball is on that axis and just rotates in place. Now, to play with the concept, I did things like the scanner by first just reducing to 4 links and tilting back the build with a hinge, but then by moving out the bar that the scanner in this case sits at. What that does is bring the end of our tool outside of that focal point, causing it to circle the center rather than sit inside of it. So we can put a figure or anything else in that focal point to now be circled around. There have been a ton of fun variation ideas. I did a few more in my original short video I made, but a dentist spotlight was a fun idea that I saw, and then the reason for all of this was an attempt at GLaDOs from Portal. I went a little sicko mode on this, if I may give myself some LEGO flowers. The concept of the isolated ball build is still there if you squint, but obviously heavily altered. The isolated movements translate in some ways to GLaDOs's head. Is that her head? I don't know. And we've got wires and components that kind of respond to the different movements. And then obviously she hangs from the ceiling as she does. So I might make some improvements to her and have a few other ideas for this concept that you'll see in a shortly. But tutorial wise, that's the build and then some. So just take the concept and do what you can with the parts you have, because that's what I did. Be creative, go nuts. Goodbye.